All right, good afternoon. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. So good
Yep.
thumbs up of that.
Yep, looks good.
Perfect. And I'm going to kind of take about 20-25 minutes. There's going to be a lot of information, so I'm going to go a little bit quick. So if you get a little car sick or motion sickness driving around, just hold on and we'll get through this. But anyway, for any of the folks that don't know anything about the Ohio Turnpike, we're a 241-mile tolled highway from Pennsylvania to Indiana that runs along Northeast Ohio. I have a few Ohio Turnpike fun facts for you. It is today and probably will be one of Ohio's largest construction projects. The peak of construction, there was 10,000 workers, over 2,300 bulldozer, graders, loaders, and other road equipment. We have about 196 mainline bridges, 219 overhead bridges, 23 ramps and 7 ramps, mainline ramps, and 103 large culverts. And this was all original construction done in the mid-1950s. There are 18 access points, as we call toll plazas. We have 31 today. Soon we'll be reducing that down to 24. We had originally 16 rest areas. Today we have 14. The commission issued about 326 million in revenue bonds. That's was the cost of it. And believe it or not, when you drive through the turnpike and you're avoiding our construction bureaus this time of year, you can think about that it only took 38 months to build this project from state to state. Now, of course, we're GIS folks, so I'm going to give you the history of the Ohio Turnpike GIS briefly. Around 2000, we kind of, like most organizations, had that GIS needs assessment done. But as you can tell, I think probably technology limited a lot of the let's go run and get some GIS done back in the days. So from about 2005 to 2015, we did have some attempts through consultants that might have gone out and surveyed for particular projects. With that, we estimated about 15% of GIS coverage, which is mostly utilities. Around 2010, we hired a consultant that developed the center line and developed this what we've referred to as a single line diagram. And this, as you can see, we can map out all of our infrastructure, service zones, emergency service zones, and whatnot. Around 2015, again, kind of technology was mostly at the PC, but the traffic engineer decided, since Google was a big player, he would develop a GIS system using Google Earth. So he kind of put in a bunch of mostly facility locations, diversion routes, and things that he used as the traffic engineer that many kind of thought was the GIS. Now in 2019, the Turnpike kind of looked around and saw ODOT, other transportation authorities, municipalities, and counties passing us by with GIS. So they kind of longed to kind of imagine what could be done from 2019 on. At the beginning of 2019, I would say there's pretty much just a handful of projects we had, and most of that was developed through the environmental engineer. So they're focused more on storm complaints, environmental issues. And as he's kind of was the GIS manager at the time for that. So in 2019, we saw a pretty big increase in bridge hits. So we developed what would occur to be our first application, where we developed the bridge hit application. Again, pretty typical GIS information, whatever you want in a tabular form, the ability to add photos, locate them on the map. Oh yeah, we can kind of do some statistics with it, which worked out great. Simultaneously, there was a lighting project going on where we were replacing LED lights at our interchanges and some of our service plazas. So the facility engineer was at the time looking at old plans, making an Excel spreadsheet. And what I kind of was able to do is pull all the lights that the traffic engineer located, did a little abracadabra, just like the bridge hit, and boom, we have, exactly how many high mass light poles we have. Pavement ratings are very critical at highways and municipalities. So we developed the PCR, which ODOT goes and gets us pavement condition ratings every year. So we kind of add that into the system, adding to our single line diagram that's fairly popular. And of course, we can add it to our dashboards to give more analytics and statistics of all of our pavement ratings. When it came to the Turnpike, there's kind of a challenge that with ODOT would agree with us here is that we don't have parcels. Oh, we do, but no one really knows where they're at. So one of our projects was to develop parcels. So one thing we thought to do that was to geo-reference old right-of-way plans into GIS, because you can see we got the parcels, pulling them into the actual GIS, we can develop parcels out of there, which we'll see a little bit later. In 2020, we developed what's the utility crossing permits, and that's where the traffic engineers started in Google Earth and had co-ops map locations of any utilities that had permits, so water mains, electrical lines. And what was transpired there was we had a separate Excel file and documents stored all over our server drive. So we kind of combined it, played a little more abracadabra, and developed a whole utility permit layer system. Here we get into the development parcels, which started to happen right during COVID. So we're able to have some co-ops actually go in, map locations of all of our parcels. In a side note, our legal department's developing a database with attached legals and documents that we're going to be able to link as soon as probably we're looking to link that in a few months. So we'll soon have a pretty good majority of our parcel layers across the state. Due to the COVID challenges of working from home, we did have one co-op map all of our infrastructure assets, such as guardrails, jersey barriers, any other types of heavy duty assets. And you can see with GIS, we now have statistics. Another co-op mapped survey control monumentation points. So we pulled all of our control points from our 3rd lane plans and added that into an Excel table, mapped it, same concept, attached the actual survey plans. So now we have complete survey and monumentation across the Turnpike. During COVID, we were looking at solar initiatives, which was a fascinating project where due to the remoteness, we could really share our screens and work with people from all over the country and all over the world on this project, which was pretty exciting to be a part of. In 2021, believe it or not, we didn't know where our culverts were located. We kind of did, but not in GIS map wise. So the consultant who did our culvert inspections had northing and easting. So we just kind of pulled all that information in. And we, of course, have the tabular information so you can see how the inspections went on the culverts that we have. And we also linked it to our structural file number of the state that identifies the bridge and heavy duty structures. So now we can have moldable, of course, tabular data attached to that. We decided one thing we wanted to look at was where all of our engineering projects took place through the years. So we linearly mapped those, which, as you can see, when we combine it all, this aids into our planning abilities to add as many orange barrels across the Ohio Turnpike in our summertime vacation travels. And that was a joke. We're actually trying to eliminate those and combine construction zones. As we're developing a lot of projects, we went and utilized the hub website development, which I can show you if we have some time. But here we can target our information to departments or a separate web page. So if you want to just see anything on payment condition ratings, we focused a whole web page of historical data and everything else on that. So it's a great way to push data. We had some service plaza issues going on where we needed to find utilities. So we went back to our georeferencing and decided to georeference all the utility plans for our service plazas. This will come in handy as co-ops will and other folks will be able to actually map in all the utilities around our sites that we don't really have a good idea at, but currently we do, because out in the field we can just pull up layers and look at that now. While we do that, we looked at attaching all of our internal building plans. So again, it's kind of a one source. Click it, you go to plans, and just help all of our trade folks that want to see our electrical plans and HVAC plans. Those that are familiar with the Turnpike, one of the things we pride ourselves in during the winter time, regardless of the storm, is to have our lanes open up within an hour after the heaviest squalls. We do a pretty good job, although a few weather events, usually you're told to stay home anyway, but with that, we kind of wanted a challenge to figure out what our salt and liquid de-icer inventories were. And by doing it the old Microsoft Access way, we really were struggling, because if somebody was in the database, nobody else could get into it. So we kind of looked at a GIS solution, believe it or not, and we merged Survey 123 with Dashboard. So now any of the clerks and managers that manage the storm can input when salt or liquid de-icer are delivered, or of course, as they use it during the storms, and we can actively monitor real-time inventory levels, which this is coming really handy as going across 241 miles in Ohio. Certain areas can get hit pretty hard with snow. 2022, we decided to go into construction inspection report. So we developed this using Survey 123, where our construction managers would go out and identify issues, things that would be on order for change orders. The nice thing, of course, using Survey 123 is they can develop a inspection report of what's going on, and of course include photos. You can store that in the project files. Kind of really pushing to get some of our maintenance users on board. So we essentially doubled the users of ArcGIS Online users from about 58 initially to we're about 111 now. One of that area is we had our maintenance team start to collect catch basins along our medians, the concrete walls that go down the center of the highway. So they kind of met with teams. We made the app really simple so they can use that. To date, we have about 930 collected, and there's just a few little sections are going to collect. Moving forward, we're going to develop a maintenance and inspection applications for them to use, and getting them to use that was critical, because now they're getting a whole lot of ideas of other items and projects they want to pull into GIS. That's what it's really all about, is of course getting everybody on board using it. We kind of went back to, we decided with our utilities, we're still lacking with a lot of utilities. So we decided to make a decision to georeference all of our original construction drawings from the 1950s in. Currently, we have from Pennsylvania to about Cedar Point in for our construction plans, and these were an added bonus because they show very vital and useful easement locations. And when we begin mapping these, you'd be really surprised how many people build over these over the last 70 years. We have, of course, we're developing out our utilities, so we know where all of our utilities will be. The nice thing about hubs is you can do statistics, so you can actually see exactly how many storm culverts or storm pipes or ponds you actually have. These numbers, again, I kind of estimate at about 15% coverage, so we got a long way to go, but georeferencing the plans will be a good way to really help define and build out our infrastructures really quick. And we got the historical elements of the plans in there. Adding new people added a lot more challenges to training. Our training was pretty much solved by development of a hub web page development or targeted for our knowledge center, so people can go and look at really quick and easy ways to understand what our mobile applications or how to use a GIS would, and how to use the various GIS apps. We're going to be replacing our maintenance buildings in the next few years. So we're looking at some information on that. So again, we kind of went back to georeferencing on our maintenance building sites, and again, attaching plans. So we found a really quick value of not only sharing this amongst everybody here at the Turnpike, you know, our maintenance division areas, but we also are starting to release some of this to the consultants that will work on the projects. We decided to launch a highway maintenance GIS website. So now all the maintenance folks can go see what they want. And there we've kind of added, you know, our current weather conditions. They get some maps, other important applications that they use and want to go into. And it's been very successful. The maintenance guys I was a little worried about, but as always, you know, they kind of can, after you get them past the first challenge of using something, they've kind of really have some really great ideas. 2023, we decided we have about 113 major bridge culverts, and we had a project going on where we needed to get some plans. So that transformed into, hey, let's link all of our existing engineering plans to the culverts. We will be doing this, of course, with all of our bridges and other structures. We kind of developed out an environmental map. Most of this is just pulling in rest services from all over the state, which has been really helpful. It's amazing how much data is out there. As we kind of focus in on all of those geo-reference plans and various engineering plans, we wanted a site to store them all. So we kind of have a dedicated projects and plan site. So you can go, hosting all these plans are, of course, takes up a lot of run time. And so we kind of split them out, which have kind of worked out really well. With the maintenance guys, you know, they're using it when they have questions and want to notify us of some things that they stumble across in the field. So we developed a issue notification survey 123 app, so they can note anything that's wrong or needs fixed in the maps. And this is kind of one of our latest behind the scenes where we're heading. We're doing some surveillance camera locations. We have surveillance cameras, but we're kind of going through an entire new program of updating a lot of our cameras across all of our facilities and highways. So we're looking at ways to best manage that. And you can see this was our first attempt, but then shortly after that, we realized really quick, and it's really going to change things, is pulling in AutoCAD drawings into GIS, which we knew we could do for a while, but if you have Civil 3D, it's a really easy process. So moving forward, we have a lot of abilities for pulling in working with AutoCAD drawings into GIS. I'm doing pretty good on time, so I'm going to show you a few of our websites if you're interested. Here's my contact information there. We can go back to that if you need it. And of course, you got questions, just reach out. But here's kind of what our website portals look like, we call it. This is like our main web page where we develop out all of our, break it down by basically department. You know, if you go in the engineering department, you'll come in and get all the information dedicated toward your department. It's really nice because you can break things up so the bridge folks can just see what they're looking for bridges, construction, highway. You need some plans. The really nice thing is they have these, you can embed a map, pull in all your layers, and you'll be able to click on this map, click on, say, you know, you want to find out what this electric line is. We know right away that it's a electric transmission line. It's from the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company. And of course, we attached any documents or plans that you can go back to and see. So that worked out really well. Again, we kind of like the idea that, again, we can focus everything, going into utilities, and you can see the map that just focused on utilities. We have different areas you can pull up those georeference plans, and we can get into those statistics like we said. Kind of link them back, so you can always go bounce around, go back into the portal, find out whatever areas you can look at. Highway maintenance is kind of the same process. Here you can see our 8 maintenance zones we have across the state. We have a current radar, and of course it's a beautiful sunny day, so nothing's really on the radar. We have another one of those maps, so the guys really like that in the office because they're not digging down into maps, and they can just scroll, zoom, get what they want, go into their different applications. So really, we really focus on the easiness of the end user. And of course, we have kind of our Twitter things attached to it. So some really good things. Kind of hopefully get the idea there. And I think I hit about 20 minutes. So I'll open it up for any questions.
Yeah, so feel free to post any of your questions in the Q&A section. And I had one actually. Could you show your knowledge hub site? I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, hold on here. Let me go into, make sure I'm in the right tab. Yeah, so you go in here, you can go into the Knowledge Web Center, and it kind of target it. So we kind of pulled up videos from Esri, a real quick minute or two, like, what is a GIS, seeing the future through it, and kind of, pull down what applications you need to download. More videos on how to use like our GIS field maps from Esri, along with Survey 123. And so it kind of gives them a really good directive as to how to kind of use the apps and whatnot. So again, we're really focused on the ease of working with our end users. So like getting the maintenance users, we kind of focused a really easy app to locate the catch basin, so we don't overwhelm them with 20 things and they go, gee, we're not gonna do that. So, trying to make it as easy as we can. That's my favorite word to ever use around work.
Right. No, that's awesome. And then you've really created a one-stop shop there, and having the documentation right next to all the applications, and you really can get what you need and understand how to use it at the same time. That's awesome.
Yeah. So just always trying to think ahead of what the users are going to want. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So kind of size wise, our GIS department's mostly myself. We have Andy, who's the environmental engineer, and then we pretty much just build it all out using interns and co-op. So what you see there is just, we don't have a big, massive GIS department. So as long as you have somebody that's pretty knowledgeable and pretty passionate, you could build out your GIS system pretty good too, pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's wonderful.